My first guest in the program today is a versatile entertainer. She's performed in Jesus Christ Superstar, Leigh, Call Me Madam, Pirates of Penzance. Look, I can go on and on about this lady. It's a string of entertainment that she's given us right over, well, many, many, many decades now. She's worked extensively with the production company here in Melbourne, performed in Carousel, 42nd Street, The Follies, Damn Yankees. She's a wonderful cabaret artist. I first saw her in 1998 at Capers, it was called in those days, and a Butte cabaret show, and we might even talk about that too as the time goes on. But she's coming down to the Drum Theatre at Dandenong to present a fairly new show, and we're going to hear about that in just a moment. But first, I thought we might do this to introduce her voice to you.
Don't tell me not to live, just sit and putter. Life's candy and the sun's a ball of butter. Don't bring her out a cloud to rain on my parade. Don't tell me not to fly, I've simply got to. If someone makes a chill, it's me and not you. Who told you you're allowed to rain on my parade? Oh, march my band out, I'll beat my drum. And if I stand out, well, your turn.
What a gutsy voice, and the lady's on the line right now. Melissa, lovely to have you with us. Welcome in.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Beaut to have you too, and of course that was what you did just recently for the launch of the production company's new season coming up in July.
It was, and that was live at Raheen, which is the Pratt residence, and actually for anybody who was listening to that, I actually sang the wrong words just near the beginning of the song. And so, nobody would notice except, the 100,000 people who know that song backwards. And because it was actually quite nerve-wracking singing that song, because I'm not actually doing that particular show. I was singing it because Carolyn O'Connor was unable to do it on the day, and they said, do you want to step in and do it?
Yeah,
so it's quite nerve-wracking.
Well, I've got David Hobson on later at 1:30, and of course David had a situation like that at Carol's by Candlelight a few years ago.
I was just listening to all your guests and wondering how you're going to fit them all in.
Oh, look, you're all lovely. We get through you all. It's a wonderful time we have together in this hour. It's just fantastic.
Well,
I
was just loving what's the song that you were playing? Was it instrumental version of a Beatles song?
Oh, that's the Beatles. I Want to Hold Your Hand by the the Holly Ridge Strings do that.
Because my favourite is, I think, Peter Sellers doing A Hard Day's Night.
Oh, isn't that good? My word, it is.
It's hysterical.
It's just fantastic. Look, I first saw you in 1998 back at Capers Theatre Restaurant.
Capers? Yeah. Oh, Capers is gone now.
I know. That's sad.
I drove past the other day and I think it looks like they're building apartments.
That'd be right.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful venue, and you were there a few times in memory. And
I was there a lot. It was run by a wonderful guy called Paul Baden.
Yes.
And it was really sort of the start of the cabaret venues in Melbourne, and establishing cabaret when it started around. I would say about the mid-90s. I think that cabaret started to really kick in.
Yeah, it really did, and Paul did a fantastic job there. It was wonderful, always good food and wonderful entertainment. And I did see you there, 1998 for your show at that stage, and that's where you and I first crossed paths. Yeah, you did indeed. Well, of course, you've got a new one coming out, and that's Get Back, and you're coming up to the Drum Theatre with the Lennon-McCartney songbook. Tell us how that came about.
Well, we actually started doing it about 5 or 6 years ago, and we sold it to the Adelaide Cabaret Festival, and it went so well that we basically went and sold it to all regional venues in Australia. And I think we did about 48 venues, but there were some venues at the time that couldn't fit us in, and the Drum was one of them. So we offered it back again, and now we're doing a couple of venues within this month.
Fantastic! You'll love it.
It's a great
space.
I've done the Drum a couple of times actually, and but this particular show is some of Mark's best arrangements of all that wonderful Lennon and McCartney material.
When you look at Lennon and McCartney, they wrote some wonderful stuff back in the 60s. They're all the way through the 60s, and we still play them today. You hear them on Smooth FM all the time, and all various radio stations. I play them here. Beautiful stuff. The words mean something.
I just wonder if there's anybody else who's ever had such an output of fabulous material that's still being played. Not many bands, I don't think.
No, Elvis Presley probably the only other one that would come to mind. Oh, ABBA perhaps in the 70s, but in this like of Lennon McCartney, they just stood out by themselves. They really, really did.
Oh, it's such fabulous material, and that's why we've always been big fans, and the thought of doing 3-part harmony to Lennon and McCartney material, we've actually been thinking about it for a really long time.
Mm. You've been a busy lady. I'm going to say you've done so many things in your life. The Fabulous Singlets, I saw that too, and you were in that back in the 90s, I think I first saw that.
Yeah, I started that in 94 when we did it for Pirates of Penzance.
Yes.
Simon Gallagher, and then the original girl came back from London and saw the show and said, "Look, do you want to join the original group?" And I've been with them ever since. I think that was 1997 for this it was the Australian Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And then I've been doing it ever since. We still do shows. We did a show at the Regent a couple of weeks ago.
Well, the Singlets was just fantastic. And if anyone's never seen the Fabulous Singlets, you've really got to, because you go back and relive those beautiful songs of the 50s and 60s, and all the hair's all teased up, and it brings the ladies back, I suppose, to those days when you get the hairdryer out and tease it up with all the hairspray and that. Wonderful show.
Oh, we do the whole thing. I love it because it's completely choreographed. The costumes are amazing, and 3-part harmony with 3 girls who
gorgeous.
That's all we do is sing. So it's fantastic.
Absolutely gorgeous. How did you get involved into show business?
Actually, it's a funny story. I was just sort of did amateur theatre when I first started out, and then a friend from amateur theatre said, "Look, I'm going to go and audition for the professional production of Jesus Christ Superstar with John Farnham." And she said, "Why don't you audition as well?" And I was like, "Oh, I had a full-time job, so I wasn't really that keen." And she said, "No, I need you to support me." And so we went along, and she didn't get in, and I did. I've never heard from her since. And that was sort of a start. I just sort of fell into it.
Yeah, and that was your first one?
That Jesus Christ Superstar, the arena production,
yes,
was my first professional production, and I loved it so much I just sort of went from there. I was very lucky.
Do you have training as a kid in singing or music in any way at all?
A little bit. When I was in Year 12, I went to Ivanhoe Girls Grammar, and David Ashton Smith, who was at the time an opera singer,
yes, remember,
he was teaching at our school, and I auditioned for the choir, and he said to me, "Well, look, you're not a choir voice, but if you're interested, I'd like to give you private lessons." And it sort of started there. It just was a slow burn for me.
Isn't that beautiful? And life's just gone on from there.
He was a lovely man, and I'll never forget me singing, belting out Tomorrow from Annie, I think it was, for my choir audition, and him just saying, not sure if it's a choir voice, if you can tone it down a bit maybe, but he was very nice, and he was probably my first mentor, I guess.
If they could look back some of our teachers from years gone by and see what we're doing today, they would probably kick themselves and say, well, she really did have it after all.
Yeah, he was always very supportive, and actually I remember he was at the time working with the Australian Pops Orchestra,
yes,
and he put me into some of the Australian Pops Orchestra concerts, and eventually I think 10 years after that I was one of the soloists because of him. So he was a wonderful mentor to me.
Melissa, when you come to the Drum Theatre next week, you're there on the 19th of May for 2 shows at 10:30 and 7:30. You're joined by another couple of lovely ladies too, aren't you?
I'm joined by a gentleman and a lady.
Oh, sorry, yes, of course it is. Well, we haven't got 3 ladies in ABBA, you're quite right. Nor in Lennon McCartney. So
that's Mark, it's my husband. He's...
Oh, Mark's there, is he? Yeah.
Yes, so it's Mark Jones, who is my husband, and Libby O'Donovan from Adelaide. And the 3 of it, so 3-part harmony with one guy, and Mark's on piano.
Yeah. And
Libby's on, I think she plays beer bottles at some stage, and I might play a recorder. And it's a bit of fun, and it's a really, really great Lennon and McCartney arrangement. You
do a lot of work with your husband, don't you? Because that show I mentioned, I think it was at that theatre restaurant, Capers. Didn't he and you collaborate with I Got the Music in Me in 1998?
Yeah. I guess that's how we first started, is because I did a show originally at Cafe K, which was in the city around the corner from the Princess Theatre.
Yes.
And I needed someone to play piano for me, and someone suggested Mark, and that's sort of how we started singing together.
Yeah.
And, eventually along the way we got married, we've got a son, and you know, it's quite handy because if I ever need someone to play for me, he does it for free and everything.
I was going to say that. No rehearsal time to pay for. You've got him there. Hubby, out of the bed. Come on, give me a handy.
Right.
I've got to learn this song.
I just crack the whip, and he helps me with auditions and everything.
That's a wonderful relationship. It really, really is. Melissa, look, I hope to get along next Thursday to have a look at this. I think it'll be a wonderful show. Yeah, we wish you well for that at the Drum Theatre. Lovely to see you still on the floorboards there and doing the things that we love you doing most. So congratulations to you. Get Back is coming to the Drum Theatre next Thursday, May the 19th. 2 shows, 10:30 and 7:30. It's a great space. Welcome back to it. And I'm sure you and I are going to touch base again.
I hope so. Thank you so much for having me on the
Thanks,
show.
Melissa. Lovely to talk to you. Have a nice weekend.
Later.
Okay, cheers. Bye-bye now. What a nice lady. And there she is, Melissa Langton. Now, keep that in mind because it is coming up on Thursday, 10:30, and again at 7:30 at night. And it's called Get Back. And you'll have a lot of fun there. Get Back, of course, referring to Lennon and McCartney. Great songwriters and some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful talent.